Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. You are all welcome in today's Bhagavad Gita class where we are discussing the glories of devotional service and how to express our love for Lord Shri Krishna, Shri Radha Krishna. So that is an essential aspect that we will be addressing today through the teachings in Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. Please join us for Jai Radha Madhav prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Brajjana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you for joining us in today's Bhagavad Gita session, where we will learn how to express love for Lord Shri Krishna, how to serve in a devotional mood. And that is the focus in today's session, where we will be covering from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verse 8 through 12. So this is where the Bhakti Yoga led us. So again, we are talking of different type of ladders, yoga ladders, but this is Bhakti Yoga. Now how do we advance in Bhakti, get to that topmost platform? And what is the topmost platform? So Hare Krishna, please join us for Guru Pranati. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखावितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्ते कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So please, in the comment section, identify how do you express love for Lord Shri Krishna while we welcome various viewers who have joined us today. Hare Krishna, Sauvik Datta, Kaushal Joshi, Niru Mataji, Prayash Gorkha, Ankit Sharma, Hare Krishna, and many other names that may have scrolled. Hare Krishna. And so, let's start with today's session because this is a very exciting class. We are all waiting. And I'm here hoping to read soon your comments on how do we express our love for Lord Shri Krishna. So, please share in the section. Hare Krishna. So, this Bhakti Yoga letter, devotional service, how do we increase, how do we rise in devotional service? Devotional service is already transcending the three modes of material nature. But how do we stay constantly transcended in devotional service is the focus today. And so for this we need to understand in chapter 12, this has been revealed to us by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada from 8 through 12. So again, text 8. मय्येव मनाधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव तौर्ध्वं न संशयः. Translation. Just fix your mind upon me. Who is saying this? Lord Shri Krishna is revealing this to Arjuna for our benefit. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. So this response from Lord Shri Krishna is answering many questions that people ask. So in the first 7 verses, in the previous session, part 1, we covered that how Arjuna is making an inquiry that which one is better? Is it, those who manifest, whose unmanifested form, who's meditating on the unmanifested form, which is Brahman, and the Jnana Yogis. He's referring to Jnana Yogis who are meditating on Brahman, or the Bhaktas, the devotees who are meditating on your, personal form. And Lord Krishna very clearly says that of the two, the Bhaktas, the devotees are better because they are meditating on my personal form. Because to meditate on Brahman is very difficult. Kleshu adhiktarasthe sham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhivyapati. So one who is embodied, how can he meditate on someone so subtle? So we understand from Bhagavadgita that more subtle, of course we have the 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. Earth, when we say yes, solid, it's referring to earth. When the kid says, oh, I have to take a leak, so that's referring to water. When somebody raises in anger, that's fire. This is the finger for fire. And then when we're putting tilak, we actually use this finger tip to raise it because it's representing air. And we place it, and then we, in case of men, we stretch it with the thumb. So that's how tilak is also performed. So again, there is a perfect science in every single action in Krishna consciousness. And then the largest finger representing ether. And further, more subtle than ether is Brahman. So again, we can't even see air. What to talk about ether? And then ether, which is space, is even more subtle. And which is more subtle than space is Brahman. And Brahma, many people referring to themselves like the soul, Aham Brahmasmi, so I am Brahman. But Lord Krishna is Para-Brahman, he is beyond Brahman. How can we meditate on a Param Brahma? So again, which is even beyond Brahman. So this is very difficult for the embodied soul. Lord Krishna himself reveals. And so we understand that, okay, becoming Bhakta is the best way. Yet at the same time, people sometimes, Srila Prabhupada would reveal, they would still, when writing their commentaries, many people who are not following disciplic succession, not following the parampara, they were speculating like the Gyanis do. And to show that how great philosopher they are, they would speculate and say, no, Krishna is not talking about himself, he's talking the Brahman within himself. Well, here Krishna has very clearly identified that those who meditate on my personal form are better, and so you should fix your mind upon me. So Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as a person to whom we have to focus our mind. Now when somebody says, how do you focus your mind on someone? In this regard, Acharyas present a beautiful story. Once there was a lady, she was running through the jungle, and there was a sage meditating. And so as the sage was meditating, the lady, as she was sprinting through, she knocks him off without even realizing, without even stopping, and the sage is shocked. Like, this lady, she just knocked me off, and she's continuing to run. And then suddenly he sees after some time the lady returning, and now he's very fearful. What will she do now? Last time, she stepped over me, knocked me completely off. What will she do now? So he's very fearful, he's very, in anxiety. And when the lady comes and she says, oh, Sadhu Maharaj, she pays obeisances to him, pays homage to him. And then he's like, this is a very strange behavior. This is very duplicitous behavior. Why would you, pay homage to me while you just knocked me when you were going in that direction? So she says, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize. I was actually running to see my beloved, to my lover. So I was going for my lover, and I was constantly thinking of him. And in that thought, I didn't see you. I didn't even realize that I made such an offense. So in this way, I was running. And at that time, the yogi is thinking, wow, she has such a meditation on her lover that she didn't even realize that she knocked me off. Yes, it's an offense to have, committed this. But the sage, sadhu, he always looks at the positives. He's like, wow, this lady has such a wonderful concentration on her lover that she didn't even realize that I was on her way. She was completely oblivious to everything in her surrounding, and all her meditation was on her lover. So that is how we should be loving Lord Shri Krishna. That is how we fix our mind upon Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And not just that, sometimes people are just thinking, but it's also very important that whatever we are doing, our activities, we have to use our intelligence in serving. So again, he is also giving the second instruction in this verse, that engage all your intelligence in me. This is also referred to as Buddhi Yoga, which was referred in chapter 2, chapter 4, and so forth. So Buddhi Yoga is to serve, to engage our intelligence in serving Lord Shri Krishna. And so, thus you will live in me. Now again, people misinterpret this sentence. They think that, oh, I will merge into Brahman. No, we are not. For devotees, that is a spiritual suicide. We are not looking for Sayujya liberation to merge into Brahman. Rather, we want to serve the Lord. So we are interested in just serving the Lord. And as Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur reveals in his writings, that even though I may be born as a worm in the stool, but my dear Lord, please keep me engaged in your service. So again, may I always serve you, may I always engage in your devotional service. And this devotional service starts with Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Yes, and this is the Smaranam aspect we are discussing in this particular verse, where Lord is saying that you will live in me always, referring to that you will live with me. Because everything is in the Lordship, but everything is not the Lordship. Again, that is also a big difference. So here he is saying, and that he is saying that we will be completely aligned. Just like in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Lord Krishna is saying to Uddhav that Uddhav, there is no difference in me, because that is a loving reciprocation going on constantly. Uddhav is a great devotee who is constantly serving the Lordship with love, with devotion, with care, with intelligence. So this is how we have to not just meditate, but use our intelligence. And so we will be with Lord Shri Krishna without a doubt. And this start happens simply with the chanting of the holy name. And Srila Prabhupada reveals in the purport that when a devotee chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then Shri Radha Krishna, Shri Radha Ramanji, Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, they are dancing on the tongue of his devotee. And through the ears, they are entering our hearts, purifying us. So that is our state. But one who is engaged constantly in remembering the Lord, fixing their mind and intelligence in serving the Lord, of course, they are already with the Lord 24/7, because the time aspect does not exist in the spiritual world. And in this regard, I am reminded of a beautiful incident where Srila Prabhupada, when he would start chanting, he was new in US in the beginning days, and they had gone to another yoga place where they were using Hatha Yoga. They were doing various kind of pranayam, asana, and so forth, pratyahara. And so there, Dr. Mishra was conducting the classes, and then he would say that we feel tired, because this is what Hatha Yoga, they're doing exercise, they feel tired. And then say maybe Swamiji can start Kirtan. And Srila Prabhupada, when he would start Kirtan, he would forget about, he would be completely oblivious to the time, space and circumstances, because in devotional service, time doesn't exist. A devotee always lives in the present moment. And the present moment for the devotee never ends, because present goes on as a gift. Hare Krishna. So now let's go to text 9. So what happens if you cannot perform, constantly fixing your mind, but cannot constantly engage your intelligence in serving the Lordship? Then what is the hope? Now somebody could ask that. So Lord Krishna, understanding this, already reveals to Arjuna in text 9 as how can one come to the stage of Mayeva Manhadatsva, May Buddhim Niveshaya, fixing our mind unto Lord Shri Krishna, upon Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engaging our intelligence in serving Lord Shri Krishna. Text 9 is Adachittam samadhatum na shaknoshi maistharam abhyasa yogena tato mamichhaptum dhananjaya. My dear Arjun, O winner of wealth, Dhananjaya, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, because that fixing of mind is without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So again, when Lord Shri Krishna is revealing this, he is saying that when we cannot fully fix our mind, now this instruction is for us, because Arjuna is already has his mind fixed on Lord Shri Krishna, and his intelligence in serving Lord Shri Krishna. That's why he says that I have surrendered unto you as a disciple, please instruct me. he is seeking direct advice directly from Lord Shri Krishna because he is in the Sakya Bhav, which is one of the devotional service. He has reached to that level, constantly thinking of Lord Shri Krishna, constantly engaging his intelligence. So that instruction, this instruction is for us who have not yet reached to that pure level, to the spontaneous loving attitude. If we have not yet attained that, then this is for us. That if we cannot fix our mind onto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, upon Lord Shri Krishna, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. So the rules and regulations are there, that when we engage in rules and regulations, when we follow the 4 regulative principles, no meat eating, including no eggs, no onions and so forth, which are more, onions, garlic are in the mode of ignorance. No intoxication, including no tea, no coffee because they have caffeine. No illicit sex, so staying within the marriage. And no gambling, because gambling is where people, they lie to themselves by saying the next turn I will win. We have example of Yudhishthira Maharaj himself, as how he lost everything through a Dyuta competition, a gambling match against Duryodhan, where Duryodhan used Shakuni Mama to represent him, who was a very big trickster in winning gambling, matches. So here we see the examples coming from Shastra. So we should use our intelligence to learn the lessons from others' examples instead of committing them ourselves and wasting our precious life. So these are the 4 regulative principles, and we are following them in parampara. So we chant minimum 16 rounds, and on special days we chant minimum 25 rounds. So that is also an instruction. And this chanting is for our purification. Lord Krishna doesn't need anything from us. He is Atmaram. He is the one who is providing to all of us. Yet at the same time we can express our gratitude by following the regulative principles to purify our existence, and by chanting the holy name to purify our heart, because this, when mind is completely pure, then we can engage in devotional service and rise to the level that we will always be thinking of Lord Shri Krishna and use our intelligence in serving. So here Srila Prabhupada, by his example, he established temples so that people can come and engage in Bhakti Yoga, see others practicing Bhakti Yoga, which reminds me of a very interesting aspect, remembering Srila Prabhupada. In the early days, there was a person, he went to Srila Prabhupada and said, I work very hard day and night, just like you do. He was saying that Prabhupada, he is, 70-year-old gentleman and he's working so hard. But he was very proud in his heart that I am also working very hard. And Srila Prabhupada, he just nodded his head and then, didn't respond. And when this person was seeing that actually Srila Prabhupada does not work, he is actually educating others by his example, then he understood the meaning of Acharya. Acharya means one who teaches by one's own behavior, Acharan. And so he realized that Srila Prabhupada is a spiritual teacher who is coming down to the level of Madhyamadhikari to show others how to engage in devotional service, how to serve Lord Shri Krishna, how to express our love for Lord Shri Krishna. So once there was a lady devotee, her parents were visiting, and Srila Prabhupada, when he is meeting the parents of his disciples, he would be very, in a lovingly way, he would, welcome them. And he said that your daughter loves Lord Shri Krishna, Shri Radha Krishna. And she was amazed that how could Srila Prabhupada say that I love Lord Shri Krishna and Srimati Radharani. I'm just following my regulative principles and chanting the holy name. And then Srila Prabhupada reveals to them, saying that she chants Mahamantra very nicely. And so this is the revelation. This is for us to understand that yes, we can start following regulative principles, take to the chanting of the holy name, get initiated. Initiation is entrance, not passing out of this spiritual progress. It's an entrance to the spiritual life. Embracing the spiritual life as all in all, a way to live, a way to spiritualize our growth. So again, this is where people, they take initiation, they become disciples in parampara, they get connected to Lord Shri Krishna through paramparas. So again, disciplic succession. So there are 4 paramparas. We are in Brahma Sampradaya, Gaudiya Brahma Sampradaya. Then there is Rudra Sampradaya coming from Lord Shiva. Then there is Shri Sampradaya coming from Goddess Lakshmi. And then there is Kumar Sampradaya coming from the Chatur Kumaras. So we have to just connect ourselves, because all these 4 sampradayas are connected with Lord Shri Krishna. Now somebody could say, even that is very difficult. How do I engage just for the purification? It's very difficult for me to follow Bhakti Yoga. Means again, this Bhakti Yoga, the regulative principles. Now what is the solution? So Lord Krishna, he further reveals that if we can't even take to that, then we can do something about it. So in the text 10, he is revealing abhyas, engaging in practicing as a practitioner. Practitioner means we are in the early stages till we come to the level of spontaneous love. But again, if we can't even do abhyas, if we can't even do follow the regulative principles and be initiated, then in text 10, Lord Krishna reveals, Abhyasya samartho api mat karma paramo bhava madatham api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, devotional service, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Hare Krishna. So, here, Lord Krishna is revealing that yes, if we are not initiated yet, if we are not following the regulative principles, how can we further advance from where we are to where we want to be, to get to that spontaneous love? We have to work for Lord Shri Krishna. And we see so many people, when they come to the temple, somebody is cutting vegetables, somebody is preparing nice arrangements for the program, somebody is even setting up a table, someone is going out distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, all these activities. Someone is just dancing in the kirtan. So that's also working for Lord Shri Krishna. So again, we are engaged in working for Lord Shri Krishna to make this environment, the preaching environment, the Krishna conscious environment, even more jubilant, even more enticing. That is also very important, and we do it under the guidance of a spiritual master. So again, we look at acharyas to show us the way. We are not speculating. So even in the beginning stage, yes, people have the tendency of just doing things, but then they seek someone as a mentor. If they don't have a spiritual master, they see, oh, there is a brahmachari, oh, there is a grahastha devotee very nicely serving the Lordship, oh, there are sannyasis who are very nicely serving the Lordship. They ask, how can we help you? How can we, make this, contribute something in your effort? And so this is where they work for Lord Shri Krishna. So this is another way. So by working for Lord Shri Krishna, we would actually purify our senses so that finally, we can take initiation and follow the rules and regulations. And by following rules and regulations, we can become fixed in our devotion. And that would be, our mind will be fixed upon Lord Shri Krishna, and our intelligence will be completely engaged in the service of Lord Shri Krishna. Now somebody can say, well, how can you work? Now here in Bhagavadgita, even that is also revealed. So in the 9th chapter, it has been revealed already that we have to just focus. How do you serve? We serve with our mind, body and words. Lord Krishna has already revealed this to Arjuna. Yat karoshi yad ashtasi yad juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kanteya tat kurushva madarpranam. So yat karoshi, whatever you do, so all our activities that we do with our senses, our hands and legs and through vacha. So this is the karmendriyas they refer to. Because jnanendriyas, those are our mode of capturing and taking in knowledge through observation. So those are jnanendriyas are, taste on our tongue. So that's the hearing capability, the smelling capability through our nose, the touch through the skin, and sight through the eyes. So those are jnanendriyas. Those are our APIs, interfaces to the world. But karmendriyas are through which we can perform activities. By speaking about Lord Shri Krishna, by serving Lord Shri Krishna, by serving the devotees, and by going to the temple, walking to the temple, carrying out various things to the temple, moving from one place to another, we need our legs. So yad karoshi, so whatever you do with your senses, with our body, yadashnasi, and we of course have to sustain this body, so whatever we eat, that's also important. So whatever we eat also should be offered to Lord Shri Krishna first as bhoga, and then we accept it as prasadam. Prasad means mercy. So whatever we are accepting, that is as prasad, as mercy, the bhoga has been offered and becomes mahaprasad, and we accept it to sustain our body. And yad juhoshi tadasiyat, and whatever we offer, so whatever we offer is part of sacrifice. So whatever we sacrifice, whatever we offer also, and whatever we give away, which is charity, and whatever austerities, tapasyasi, whatever austerities and penances we perform. So Lord Shri Krishna in the 18th chapter reveals that sacrifice, yajna, dan and tapa, sacrifice, austerity and charity even purify the pure souls. So in this way, by working for Lord Shri Krishna, we would purify our senses, and by eating prasad, we will purify our very existence, and by serving Lord Shri Krishna, by engaging in his service, we will finally come to the level where we would be able to follow regulatory principles. So again, this is also a way when we work for someone, that is also a mood of expression. Srila Prabhupada, he set out a very simple rule that people who are living in the temple, they should be provided all facilities and no salary needs to be provided, because there is no need. Lord Krishna is taking care of everything, and from the early stages, the devotees observed that Krishna provides. So this had become a slogan that Krishna provides. So they were looking at it, and this movement is a non-profit movement. So again, this is not to seek profit, but also just to contribute to the society. So that has been the focus here. So how do you express love? So when we work for someone, when we go to our workplace and we work for an employer, then we are working only thinking that when I'll get remuneration, I'll get paid for my service. And the employee is also employing us in his service or her service so that they get some benefits through our service. And because we are serving them, they pay us in return. That is not love. Srila Prabhupada very clearly expresses that this is a trade exchange. This is an exchange which is not based on love. If the employer will stop paying us, we'll stop serving the employer. And the moment we stop serving the employer on the other hand, the same way, will stop paying us. It's like, you have not performed any service for me, and will let us go. So this is also very important, that the work in the material world, which is even the knowledge in the material world, is an artisan knowledge, shilpakari, you can refer to it as. It is not spiritual knowledge. We are performing some kind of service for which we are getting paid, and that is not love. While for Lord Shri Krishna, we do it as an offering. We perform the austerities by following the 4 regulative principles for our purification. We accept prasad for our purification. We are engaging our intelligence, which is referred to as buddhi yoga, for Lord's pleasure. So this is love. When we chant the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We are praying to the Lordship, Shri Shri Radha Krishna, please engage me in your devotional service. We are begging for devotional service because it's a privilege, it is not a right. And this is where we are expressing our love through the prayers. So the prayer to beg for service is also service. So even this is devotional service when we chant the holy name, and by engaging in prayer, by engaging in the chanting of the holy name, we get devotional service by the mercy of the Lord. And so we have to use that privilege of getting that service to further advance in Krishna consciousness. as it purifies us and makes us come to the level of advancement where we can follow the rules and regulations of Bhakti Yoga in disciplic succession under the guidance of a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master, and finally engaging in as a practitioner, we come to the level of fixing our mind upon Lord Shri Krishna and our intelligence in serving Lord Shri Krishna. So this is the way we can express our love for Lord Shri Krishna. So that is very important. Now sometimes people would say, well, I don't have so much capability to work. I cannot work for Lord Shri Krishna. I have so much, my life is so busy. What can I do in that case? I don't have time. This is a common excuse, right? We hear that. We have so many demands on our family. We have so much demands at our work. Then we have so much demands in maintaining our house and everything else that goes around with it. We don't have time. What can we do? So Lord Krishna, understanding this attitude, he also reveals a solution for those who cannot work for him. He says, Atayadapya sakto asi kartum madhyogam ashitaha sarva karma phalatyagam tatah kuru yatatmavan. So he is saying, if however you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. So when we get something, we should perform some charity. So again, this is for people. It's very interesting that sometimes people think, oh, in the beginning you perform some charity, you engage in hearing and chanting. But it's very interesting that as one advances, he spontaneously becomes more charitable than before. And that is also a reflection, as we discussed in the previous verse, the verse 10th, that we have to constantly engage in the service of the Lordship, and finally by working for him we can come to the level of Bhakti Yoga, right? We are engaged as a practitioner, and then we will come to the pure stage. So here in this particular verse it is said that Sarva Karma Phalatyagam. So now sometimes people misinterpret Sarva Karma Phalatyagam. They say, oh, whatever you have won, just give everything. No, Srila Rupa Goswami, the Acharya, he is the leader of the 6 Goswamis in Vrindavan. He shows by his example. He divided his wealth into 2 parts. So the half of it, 50%, he donated to the Vaishnavas, and half he kept, further dividing into 2 parts. And the 1/4, which is like, the half of half, he gave to his relatives, and the other 1/4 part he kept for emergencies, for times when there is a need. So similarly, we can follow that example in our lives and perform charity in the beginning. But again, we have to understand that Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, they are pure devotees, they are already in spontaneous love. And they are disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Radha Krishna. So here we can follow the example for those who cannot follow the regulatory principles, who cannot work for Lord Shri Krishna, the life is too busy, then they can offer something in charity. Sarva Karma Phalatyagam. So again we have to understand that when we are saying Sarva Karma Phalatyagam, so we have to renounce the fruits of our labor by not saying, oh, see how proud I am such a famous person, I'm making such an offering. That's like showing a lamp to the sun. Lord Krishna has provided us everything, and now one person is thinking, I'm performing this charity. So we have to be very, very careful that when such charity is performed, it is performed with the mood of offering. It is not in the mood of giving, that I am such a great person. It is in a mood of offering, in a humble mood. So Lord Krishna is saying, if you are unable to work in this consciousness, work for Lord Shri Krishna, then give up the results of some of your works. Just renounce the fruits of your results, some of them, because it is very difficult for many people to just give up everything. Now sometimes people say even that is very difficult. Maybe they don't have any job, they don't have any way of surviving, then what can they do? So again, for those people, Lord Krishna is further revealing in the 12th verse. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasaj jnana dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phala tyagas tyaga chantiranantaram. So if you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. And Bhagavad Gita is a Shruti Shastra. Just by hearing, we can acquire this knowledge. So my dear devotees, when you are hearing this lecture or other lectures on Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and other bona fide literatures, that hearing is enabling you to cultivate the knowledge, the spiritual knowledge, not the artisan's knowledge, not the Shilpkari, but actual true spiritual knowledge for purification of our heart. We have to constantly hear. So better than knowledge, however, is meditation. And better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. So at the bottom, sometimes people think that at the top it is knowledge, but no, at the bottom is knowledge. So Adha Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sangha. So again, when we have some faith, then we come in the association of devotees, and that is where we engage in hearing and chanting as well as remembering the Lordship. So this is the beginning, the knowledge level. And then comes the meditation, that we are meditating on the various teachings as provided. By those, automatically we become detached from these worldly things, so it's easy to make an offering of our fruits of our labor in the service of Lord Shri Krishna. And finally, start to work, engage our other senses as well in serving Lord Shri Krishna by also engaging, performing yajna, dana and tapa, sacrifice, austerity and charity. And finally, come to the level of Bhakti Yoga as a practitioner, where we can follow the rules and regulations and thus advance in purifying our heart, purifying our existence under the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession, so that by engaging constantly all the time, we come to the level of pure love, spontaneous love. So again, that is the level where we can again engage in pure devotion service and always be with Lord Shri Krishna. So everyone is advised, Srila Prabhupada reveals in this purport of verse 12, that everyone is advised to take to the direct method and surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. So now sometimes people have this tendency, oh, this too easy. So it's way too easy. Anybody can do this. I want to do something very difficult. Yes, Bhakti Yoga is easy to understand, but difficult to follow, because you have to actually, it's a change of heart, it's a transformation of our heart. That is something very important. And it helps us understand how do we express our love for Lord Shri Krishna. Not feeling like, oh, I'm performing some charity, making a show of things. I'm performing great sacrifices, and I'm doing this for this person, I'm doing that for that person, and I'm such an important person. That is the wrong attitude. Because in Bhakti Yoga, the mood of a devotee is yat karoshi yadashnasi. Oh, that is there, but we always have to stay humble and tolerant. That's the third verse in Shiksha Ashtaka. The verse is Tradapi shunichena tarorapi sahishuna manina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So we should always remain more humble than the grass on the street, more tolerant than the tree, and constantly engage in chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So when we perform our activities through our mind, body and senses, and engage in making an offering through yajna, dana and tap, sacrifice, charity and austerity, then that would be a real way of expressing love for Lord Shri Krishna. So this is an essential way where we learn today how to express love for Lord Shri Krishna upon meditating on Him, by engaging in His service, by following the rules and regulations, by working for Lord Shri Krishna, by continuously meditating on Him, by doing Shravanam Kirtanam and acquiring knowledge. So again, sometimes people put the Jnana Yoga at the top, but then there are various kind of Bhakti Yogas and Jnana Yogis, and again the variety of yoga systems. And Lord Krishna's final instruction, just before the final instruction, Bhagavad Gita, He says, Manmana bhava bad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskurya mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyasi me. So he is actually summarizing all these various practices that we discussed here in that particular verse. Then he says Sarv Dhammam Parityaja. So he is showing how to Sarv Dhammam Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vaja. So give up all varieties of religion, just surrender unto him. But just before that, he is revealing how to surrender unto him by constantly thinking, always think of me, which is just like the verse 8 we covered today. And Yadashnasi. So again, Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto, become my devotee, which is like following the rules and regulations under the guidance of, taking the instructions from a bona fide spiritual master in disciplic succession, in parampara. And worshipping. So again, it's even smaller because, for worship, which is where we, glorify a person by making an offering of various kind of paraphernalias. So that is Archana Vidhi. So again, worshipping also requires you to acquire some understanding and acquire some ability. How do you worship? Sometimes people worship just through their words. Sometimes people worship with their paraphernalia. Sometimes people worship by offering a garland and flowers, by glorifying a person. So again, these are various ways that we can worship the Lordship. And Mam Namaskuru. So again, if those who are not even capable of doing that, of course they can pay obeisances, Namaskuru, pay homage unto me. And I was looking at the word homage. Homage, dictionary meaning is respect or reverence paid or rendered. So the other example I really liked, the meaning is owing him fealty and service. So again, some service, when we perform, is very much appreciated by Lord Shri Krishna. He doesn't need it. This is for our purification that we engage in devotional service, so that we get purified and come to the level where we can constantly, spontaneously love the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the mood of humility and tolerance, making an offering that, my dear Lord, I don't have much capabilities, but there is a small offering that I have. Whatever I am able to collect, please accept me as my offering. So again, in this way, when we express our love for Lord Shri Krishna, we get purified, and everything that we work for gets purified. And finally, we come to the level that we don't have to perform any love, just love Lord Shri Krishna. And if work, just love Lord Shri Krishna and engage in his devotional service eternally, and engage in Yajnadan and Tap eternally, and keeping him as the sole focus, just like that lady who was meditating on her beloved and was completely oblivious to anything that came her way. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vind ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.